The International Blind Cafe 18 Plus presents Conversations from Booth 6666666.
Order up.
Is this someone for booth 6?
Yep.
The InternationalBlindCafe.com welcomes you back to Booth 6. Last time in the booth, we discussed independence through not using assistive technology as much as we're all accustomed to. This time, we're going to continue with that school of thought and say, what is it like to be living independent and striking out on your own for the first time? Big adjustments and big challenges sometimes. So, Jason, could you give us an example of something that you had to adjust when you were facing sight loss at first?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, Scout. Like, as I lost my sight, I lost my ability to drive. So, just learning or adapting to being able to walk to the store, for example, instead of driving to the furthest store, or go browsing in the supermarket. I used to, on the way home from work, decided what was for dinner that night. I'd go browsing for the supermarket until a bright idea came to my head. Now I've got to pre-plan more, and I do a lot of my shopping online. So I pre-plan my meals as I'm shopping. So that's a big adjustment. So kind of changes the way I have to be creative. So, hey, Eddie. Yeah, man, come sit down.
All right, thanks, man.
You live alone, and you live alone there in that big house, just you and Dexter.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you got to do to adjust, like living blind? Because I know you go to work and everything, man. Like, I'm sure you don't have a staff that goes and gets groceries and stuff for you. So how do you cope with that?
No. I order it online also, get my food delivered that way, or if someone's going to the store, I'll grab a ride with them. And I'm just adapting to not having a driver like I did when I was younger, with my parents when I was younger, or having a girlfriend that drove. Now I'm single right now, and getting around with public transportation and the buses and taking the train places all independently now is something I had to learn to do.
Oh, for sure. Hey, Tremaine, come sit down, buddy.
What's going on,
Over
guys?
here, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
There you go.
I smelled you downwind. Here we go.
Well, I know you don't live alone, but you and your wife both live blind and have a teenage son living in the house. So that's got to add its own degree of challenges, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I have lived alone. My first apartment, I lived alone. And I was just fortunate that my first apartment was next door to a grocery store. So I was able to just walk next door and get the groceries I needed. And the apartment was pretty straightforward. It was a 1-bedroom apartment. I actually got into it. Crazy story. I got into it. Terrence. Oh, there's Terrence over there. Terrence, I was just talking about you.
Man, listen. I told you to stop bothering me at my other job, man. I'm ringing this bell so I can get us some extra money. Goodness gracious.
He lived in the building that I moved into, and he was really cool with the management, so I didn't even really have to put in an application there. They just came and knocked on his door one day at 7 o'clock in the morning. It was like, hey, your friend still want an apartment? Call him up, tell him to get over here now. So Terrence called me at 7 o'clock in the morning and said, man, yeah, you got to get over here and get this apartment because they told me they could put you in. But living with my son it's a challenge because he's sighted. Me and my wife both have a visual impairment, and I don't think he understands that. I don't know how he don't understand it, and we've had the same impairment his whole life. But he does things like leave things out of place, leave things in improper places, leave stuff in the way, just a bunch of craziness. So we had to adapt to it, and I use different technologies to even go in the cabinet, because I may have the cabinet sorted out at one point, but after he goes in, it's a tornado.
Oh yeah, I know that. I got a 15-year-old too, and I think sometimes he tries to pull the wool over my eyes. I swear, I think he pretends to do stuff and then forgets that I'm blind. That's it. All my other senses are still there. I can still trip over his shoes that he didn't put away. Hey, Terrence.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tremaine's life was brought to you by Stub Toes.
Hey, I'm just saying, but Terrence he's a real inspiration. He's like one of the first visually impaired people who caused me to want to be independent.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Terrence, we know he gets around. He flies around. He goes and visits his lady in a different city. Yeah, you'd never know Terrence was blind, but
I mean, tell us the secret as a blind lifer. You're the one person in the group that's been blind your whole life.
Man, listen, it's one of those things, man. So you, again, having to adjust to moving out on my own, that was crazy. My first apartment was not the best, and I had supportive family. I found out afterwards that they were scared for my life. My apartment listen, my first apartment, man, it starred in every horror movie. Okay, I think it guest starred in Candyman or something, because my first apartment was across the street from a gas station next door to an empty field. We had to do laundry in a cellar off the alley. You're welcome. So hey. There's a new fella that joined us in the cafe some time ago. Hey, Rail Blake, come on over, man. Tell us your story. You've just struck out independently in the last year or so. Come on over.
Yeah, hey, thanks.
Hey, man.
Have a seat.
Oh, yeah, you can get some nice Oreos here. Fantastic.
There you go.
I don't need to fat myself up. But yeah, I did just move out on my own actually 6 months ago now. And first time getting out on my own, out from under my parents' place. And I can remember very distinctly a lot of times in the last few years of like, oh, I want to get the heck out of this house. And when I finally did that, that was a bit of an adjustment, physically and mentally speaking, going from living with both of them and the dogs that they had to suddenly being completely on your own. That is a strange thing to get used to, and not just being able to bum a ride with one of them to go somewhere A or B, go to a restaurant, go get groceries, whatever. Suddenly it's okay, I'm all right. Thank God we live in 2024, and you can order your groceries, you can order food, but sometimes you just want to get out of the place a little bit, not be trapped in your four walls. And it's been weird. 6 months is kind of, the first 2 months I think went like super slow, but now we're chugging along. We're making it. Things are flowing.
Yeah, that's good, man. I found the first problem I had with living alone was having to cook for myself. That was a challenge in itself, just adjusting to being able to cook and actually
look like real food.
Real food.
Real food. Microwave.
Yeah. Well, that works too. Microwave, it was my best friend for a while too. Microwave. We didn't have air fryers back when I first had my first apartment. It was a deep fryer. Nothing but the grease, baby.
Nothing but the grease. How have you found yourself adjusting to that, Rail Blade? Your meals and just that whole life of chores, right? Just full on, because it's chores when they tell you to do it. When you got to do it, you be like, oh, well, it's time to vacuum. Jeez.
On the food side, it definitely coming from the family that I did, my mother just actually enjoyed like making dinner here and there. I mean, as much as I guess anybody would, right? But she always kind of just did that, and I never really wound up cooking much until there's like maybe a couple of times that I would do, some light stuff. But yeah, when you're out on your own, striking out for the first time, you don't have a lot of that stuff either. You don't have all the pots and pans. You get kind of just initially enough to get by, and it's expensive, all the stuff you're buying right off the bat. So I'm like, I can just live off of sandwiches and frozen food, for a while, and my stomach will complain about that later, and we'll address that another time.
That was the thing. Even when I was sighted in my first place that I moved into completely on my own, fresh out, done with the Army, I'm moving out on my own, and I got this place. I got a couch, I got a bed, I got dressers. I didn't have dishes or food or spices. My God, damn.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing that without sight, guys.
Man,
wow.
The first thing I got was my uncle had bought me a set of pots and pans from Dollar General. And I look back on it, I think it was a novelty thing. He was like, I got you some pots and pans. And I was like, cool, thanks. And saw them from the dollar store, man. You boil water in them, they start bending. You're like, goodness gracious.
I mean, shoot, you had those pots and pans. I mean,
listen, I absolutely, you make it through it. So Railblade, so just being out on your own, and so just your overall security, like. Do you how do you deal with just being alone, man? Because a lot of people find that overwhelming. They say, they feel a little off. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not with their friends and their family. You notice that, or you cope with it? What you do about it?
Yeah, and I mean, in my case, I'm not totally blind. I don't see anything really out of my right eye. My left eye is still good enough for me to do most things other than legally drive. Grand Theft Auto was about as far as I get to actually accessing a car. Thank God for video games. But It was definitely just kind of tough. Those first couple of months, really kind of found some solace having this group, honestly, to kind of just have people to talk to here and now. It's like I just think it was really kind of weird initially, because I would spend a lot of time, we'd either watch shows or playing card games with my folks, and then I could then I can slink away to my room, and do stuff I want to do. But when you're on your own, it's just you and your thoughts. And sometimes that can be a little bit stressful, I would say. But I got lucky moving into, I would say, kind of a decent enough area. I have I put up a Ring camera. I don't know that I even really needed to. I'm a little bit better tucked away than I could have asked for, I guess, or would have expected, maybe is the way to say it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you visually impaired people out there, the good thing about the Ring camera is you can talk to people through it, and you can hear what's going on the other side. It's not just a camera. Yeah. It's one of those systems, and and actually has a speaker on it. And things have changed, fortunately for us, because my first set of cameras around the house were through my cable provider, and I had to ask my family, "What's that? What's happening? What's going on?" But now,
hey, so Eddie, I got a question. You actually went through the home buying process as a blind person. How was that?
It was horrible.
Well,
it was. We're going from a sighted person to a blind person gradually, little by little each year, having it decreasing little by little.
Mm-hmm. Tell us how you feel about it, Eddie.
I mean, but you were blind when you actually bought your house, weren't you?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, was the whole shopping around process for a house, was that how did that go?
That was family. Thank God for my sister. She took me shopping. And we just pick out some whatever type furniture, whatever, and TV stand, the basic stuff.
No, I mean, did you find your house by yourself, or did somebody the actual house?
Oh no! It actually just came. It happened. I got lucky. It's right next door to my sister, and it just happened to come up for sale. when I was selling the house my parents' house that I was in, and they both passed away then. So I sold that house and bought this house.
Oh my God, Eddie, you scared me for a minute. I thought you just put a couch and a TV stand in an empty lot and put some bricks up.
Yeah, no, man, I don't know.
He built this house.
Yeah,
He said one day we'll have a kitchen.
you gotta edit that one out. Okay, yeah.
I will say that like the whole trying to find a place to live, especially when it's just you, that was a little, I would almost say a little overwhelming. And my folks were kind of like, all right, you just got to raise, work. You should be able to afford to move out, right? And I'm like, yeah, financially I should. Why do I not want to do this? Because it is a lot of work. It's, especially in this kind of day and age, the way the market is and everything, finding an apartment that's affordable. I couldn't even find one local. I had to move 2.5 hours north to be able to find somewhere that I could actually afford. That to me wasn't like, $1,600 for a 1-bedroom. It was, about $1,450 for a 2-bedroom. It's like, I think that's reasonable, that's more sane. And never mind that my folks then sold their house and moved 20 minutes north of me. Couldn't have foresaw that, but that is what it is. But yeah, the whole trying to find stuff, it's kind of crazy going through between apartments.com and Zillow, and it's nice that they have those, but you don't really get as much in the way of textual information on some of those sites. That a lot of them are visual, and so you have to at least have a big enough screen to be able to see some of the stuff that they're showing in those 3D tours, and thankfully, yeah, my folks were willing to take a day off of work to drive me the 2 hours up here just to actually do tours. I don't know how I would have. I was initially thinking I'm in northern Indiana now, and I was thinking I could move to Illinois or Minnesota. I'm like, dude, I don't know how I would have managed to do that being on my own. Maybe if I had someone I was living with, but ain't no way I was going to cross state lines by myself. Realized that really fast.
Yeah. See, when you shopping on Zillow and all them other places, the places look good as far as what you're reading. It checks the stars. Oh, it's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Okay. But then you had someone site look at the neighborhood and they're like, oh no, you don't want to live here. This neighborhood is trash. You know what I'm saying? And almost when we moved to Ohio, we went through the process of looking for a new house, me and my wife, and we almost ended up living in a not so good neighborhood, but just so fortunate that we found another home in a nice neighborhood, and they were doing a tour that same day we found it. So we went over there to the tour, and the guys asked me how do you like the house? I said, man, I'm just paying the bills. It's her house. If she likes it, then we can move here. Simply put, because being blind, I don't know what the backyard looks like. I don't know what the rest of the neighborhood looks like. You know what I'm saying? I know what the house looks like. I know what the house feels like, but I didn't even really know what the house design was until after the papers were signed and we were moving in. I didn't know where nothing was when we did the tour.
You was like, I know who this check go to. Jason, how did you pick your place, man? You got a nice little apartment.
I got lucky. I was excited when I did it. I was working. I was living in the city, and then got a job in a smaller town, about an hour, 45 minutes out of the city. And one of the guys that works just said, my wife and I have a suite in the basement we're looking to rent. Are you looking to move out of the city and come live in the town here? I'm like, I'll take a look. It doesn't hurt. And I just landed. But that was the sighted thing. So I can't imagine doing any of this stuff without sight.
You say it was a sighted thing, but I bet you if you lost your sight, your apartment was like a brand new place to you. You have to learn, there's a wall right here that I never seen before.
That wall keeps moving. It keeps jumping up and attacking me.
Yeah.
This is a doorway right here. Oops.
My oven keeps moving on me once in a while, getting in my way.
Man, listen, my hallways are not. I don't know when they built this house. They built going from the dining room into the hallway. It's like an archway, but it ain't no door. There's nowhere to put a door there. So why is there a damn archway? So you come up the hall and you get to the end of it, and because of that archway, you don't have as much shoulder room as you started off with going down the hall. And you like, damn, am I getting wider? Or is that archway getting narrow? Because I promise, yesterday I could get through it better. It hurts. It hurts. It's one of those things, man. It's just one of those things.
I think that was a weird thing too, of where I used to live with my folks. We had been there for about 22 years, since I was real little. So finally getting out of there, that was just like, actually the change of scenery in and of itself, was strange. Like I say, I have vision in my left eye, but I could literally walk around that house with my eyes closed because I just was so familiar with where everything was. The layout, had mostly not changed. They did like remodel the kitchen, but that didn't really affect. I could literally lead myself around there, not looking at anything. And so then, you move and suddenly you're waking up in a different room, and you've got like some of the same, like white noise fans and all that, but it's like, oh yeah, the door's not where I think it is. I actually have to use the little vision I have to actually look at that, and just trying to adjust to the change. That stuff isn't where, and then you're going in the kitchen and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, there's all these different cabinets, and where the hell did I put that? So it's definitely just, it's so weird. It's an adjustment that I think even 6 months in is still like kind of getting used to in that like reflex side of things.
It's even, I'm the kind of person, because I was brought up that if you really want to clean a room, you got to rearrange it. My mom always. And so when I really get deep cleaning, I'll rearrange my bedroom or rearrange my living room. And then especially if I do the bedroom, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and walk to where I remembered the door was. And, oh, shoot. No, the room's this configuration this month.
Yes, this month.
But I've got to run into the wall first or trip over a bedside table or,
Yeah,
I used to have that problem before because growing up, my mom, she moved the furniture all the time. I remember one night when I was staying with my mom, I woke up and I thought they were leaving because everything was in the hallway as if they was packed. I thought they were trying to leave me. So I grew up with constantly, being blind with my mom moving the furniture. So when I struck out on my own, I moved my furniture around a lot. So whenever Terrence would stop by my apartment, I would say, "Oh, the couch is no longer on that wall. It's on this wall now." It just so happened that it was easy an adjustment for me because I've been used to it my whole life. But my wife won't let me move the furniture around right now because she just don't want me to move the furniture.
I stopped doing that when I was a kid, man. Because I had my little sister's crib was in the room with me, so it was my bedroom set the crib, and I had a little writing desk. I don't know why I had a writing desk. But, my grandmother bought me a writing desk.
He was an inspired writer.
Man, listen, with my little magic markers, okay? I was out here being great with squiggly lines, couldn't tell you nothing. And I remember one night I woke up and ran into the closet door because the bed was different. We quit moving the room around after this. Listen, nothing reminds you really got to pee. You think you had to pee. You hit the closet door, okay? I was like, we'll never move in the bedroom. And he'll tell you, my bedroom stayed the same. All through high school. It never moved. It stayed the same.
Yep. See, I did that kind of thing, not just because of vision, but just once I have something that works, I don't want to change it. My bedroom was laid out only 2 ways in those 22 years, and it only changed from the first one because I got a queen size bed instead of a twin or whatever I had as a child.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't see a need to move stuff regularly. I don't really subscribe to that every month, Jason. That's.
No, not every month, but yeah,
just this month.
I don't blame him because that is a good practice. When you move your furniture around, you're forced to do a deep clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I haven't moved this couch around, so let me sweep behind this couch now. Let me sweep under this couch where it was at for the last 2 months. So
and besides, to throw off the burglars if they was looking at your windows and they come back. They don't know where stuff was.
Well, if burglars came to Eddie's house, they would have more to worry about than stuff getting moved around.
Eddie has a dire wolf for a guide dog. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Eddie got a dog out of Game of Thrones.
They'll take care of business.
Eddie got a dog out of Game of Thrones. Ain't nobody gonna bother Eddie house. That's just what it is. So of course, since you moved out, you ain't got to worry about lawn care and all that stuff. You hit a lick with the apartment and that whole 9 yards. So overall, how you feeling about it, man? It is 6 months. It's a little daunting getting started, but now that it's starting, it's happening. You foresee going back or forward? What you thinking?
Oh, there ain't no going back. But yeah, there's I think we're making progress. I think, it's kind of slow and steady. Trying to work on a couple of things, trying to get refocused into, I've got a job that, as an independent contractor, I basically make my own hours, and I'm trying to set myself kind of more to a schedule. I've found that the best way for me to do things is to have the Amazon devices, as we'll say, actually like ping me to tell me to do stuff, so I remember to do stuff, and that seems to keep me a little more in line and honest with myself.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what's the lesson in that? Use your digital devices. It is so many people that don't know how to use their phone. They get all these electronics and they don't know nothing about nothing. They don't know how to set up alarms, reminders, focuses. They don't know how to do nothing. But social media, it helps you out. Learn how to use your phone.
To that point, though, living independently and working independently for yourself, it is a challenge. Like, I do music production. So I don't have a set schedule when I need to get a song mixed or when I need to make a track or anything like that. It's just, okay, I'll get up at 4 o'clock and go work on the song for about an hour, and then I'll stop and take a break. And, it's just easy to take a break when you work independently in your own environment at that. You get sidetracked real fast, real easy.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the same here. I have a 9 to 5, but my 9 to 5, unfortunately, I started it later on in life. I've always been a professional musician, right? And so when you're doing that independent contractor thing, you have to stay on it because, again, there is no going back, right? It is nothing but forward for us and setting up a life for our retirement and getting things together for our golden years so that we can actually sit back and be great. Absolutely.
Eddie, you're a masseuse and you went to masseuse school after you lost your sight, and how was that like in general, like getting into that field?
Very difficult schooling, but I worked my way through it, studying, getting extra help, tutoring, and I've been doing it for 27 years now.
How was it when they threw them hands on the table, though? That's the part that creeped me out. He said they come out through these.
Oh, yeah. In one of my classes, they were at cadavers.
Oh, yeah. Sweet baby.
So they like human hands for real?
Oh yeah, a real hand with like no skin on it.
Oh man.
And they give you these like McDonald's land trays that were in front of you. And as a blind person, you hear this guy walking down the front of the bleacher type things where we're sitting at, they call them. You hear a thud, thud, thud. Those are hands getting thrown in front of each person.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Man, did you say somebody told you yours? That was a lady's hand. She still
it still had the nail polish on the fingernails.
Oh man.
So when the professor got to the front, he got a round of applause.
Yeah. I had some girl sitting next to me. I'm like, hey, you need a hand?
Everybody took their hand and did the wave with it. That's absolutely.
So to summarize, being blind and independent, it is a challenge. It's an adjustment that we all have to go through as individuals. Some people adjust differently. Some people adjust faster. Some people adjust a little slower. Like, it just depends on how you were brung up and how you are trained to adjust in life. Period. Like Jason said, he changed his furniture around, and sometimes he forgets. As a blind person, that does happen to you. When I first moved in this house, I had to remember which way the door was for the bedroom, and you know what I'm saying? It was a couple of days where I kissed the wall. As a blind person, you kiss walls sometimes. Just point period.
And no one takes you to HR for it, man. Listen, I hit my sister's car with the snowblower because we discussed this. It was supposed to be over further. I came out with the snowblower, hit the car with it. It's just one of those things.
Well, that's the thing. We all have to adjust, and it's totally possible to adjust and live independently as a blind person. And a big part of it is anybody who's listened to this group of guys since we started our podcast is humor helps us get through a lot of it, because it's about positive outlook and not getting down on you. You're going to kiss some walls. You're going to stub some toes. You're going to shoulder block the door. You're going to
apologize to mannequins.
You're going to break a few dishes.
Like I tripped over a dishwasher just last week. Yeah.
First off, the dishwasher was wrong.
If you'd like to join us, there's always a seat for you in Booth 6 at the International Blind Cafe, Discord server, and Facebook group.
Sweet.